Hey guys, what's up? Cardfight here, and today I'm here with the Chronofang-Tiger deck profile. Yeah, so it's been a while since I last posted a deck profile, but I've been working on this deck, and the reason why it took so long is because I didn't want to use a lot of the cards I used in my Chrono Jet Dragon deck profile, because I don't want to have like two of the same decks except with different strides and different grade 3s, but in the end, the decks looked a little similar. It uses a lot of the same core cards, but the playstyle is a little different, so I'll just get right into the deck profile. So for Star Vanguard, we're running Chronotiger, or Tiga. So the skill is kind of +1. Move this card into Soul. On your turn, if an opponent's Regard, it's put back into their deck. If you're a Chronofang Vanguard, then you may pay the cost. If you do, choose a card in your bind zone and call it to a Regard circle, and then during this turn, that card gets plus 4,000 power. So it helps you toolbox a bit from the bind zone, which kind of helps. And rewinding your opponent is not very hard with this deck, so getting his effect off is not hard. Next, we're running 1 TikTok. TikTok is restricted to 1, so we're running 1, but it's still a pretty decent card. For grade 3s, we're running 4 Chronofang-Tiger. So, for those of you who don't know what it does, its effect is Generation 2. When a G unit strides on, if you want to pay for the cost of a stride, you can have that card get +3 grade, and if you do, bind that card instead. So instead of putting a card into drop zone, you put it in your bind zone, which helps you fuel the effect for your other cards. So the effect is pretty good. And the second skill is choose a card from your hand and should put it in the bind zone. When this card's placed on the Vanguard circle, you won't pay the cost. If you do, choose your opponent's rearguards and put it back in your deck. And then they search their deck for a card with 2 grades lower than that card and calls it to a rearguard circle. So a lot of times when you first write this, you're probably going to choose your opponent's starting Vanguard, and then they won't be able to choose anything to call back out, because there's nothing in the game right now that's 2 grades lower than a grade 0. Alright, next, running 3 Chronofang-Tiger G. This card came in the trial deck, and I don't want to run 4 of him because this card gets pretty janky if you have too many in your hand. But skill is Vanguard Rearguard Circle. You check 1, so last 1, choose one of your other rearguards and bind it. When this card attacks at the end of the battle, you will pay the cost. If you do, you can choose a unit in the same column as this unit, one of your opponent's rearguards in the same column as this unit, and your opponent puts that unit in the bottom of the deck. So it helps you with the rewinding, and you can pull out some neat little combos with it, I guess, but he's not really the best card to ride into. So that's the grade 3 lineup. You can run another grade 3 if you want instead. I'm running 3 Stride Fodders right now, but you can take one of those out to run another grade 3. I wouldn't recommend running 4 Chronofang-Tiger Gs, but you can run you can run that card that when you Soul Blast, it gets -2 grade, so you can do some cool Time Leap combos with it. But yep, that's my lineup for now. Grade 2s, running 4 History Makers. In my original build, I was not running these because I didn't want to run that many History Makers between my 2 decks, but he really is a good card, so I decided to run him instead. He puts a lot of firepower, a lot more firepower for your, on your turns, so he's definitely recommended to put in your deck. You guys probably know what he does by now, so don't need to explain too much. So next, let me mute my computer. So next we are running 2 Shagkusa. So Shagkusa is a new card, or it's a newish card from G-CB-04, and her skill is Check 1, choose one of your rearguards and bind it. When this card's placed on a rearguard circle, if you're a Chronofang, Vanguard, you may pay the cost. If you do, during this turn, this card gets plus 3,000 power and the boost ability. So she's here for a lot of time leap plays. You can do some really cool plays with her. Because she can become an 11k booster, but when you time leap a grade, for example, if you attack and you don't have a booster or something for your second column, you can just time leap your Vanguard booster into her, and then she becomes a she can help you become a 12k booster. But you know, you're gonna have to fix your field first. So for example, if it really depends on how your field is, but you can like time leap something and then call this out and bind a Wataru or something. So yeah. Next, we're running 3. What's his name? Nani. Yeah, Nani. So the skill is, on your turn, if you have a Chronofang Vanguard, this card gets plus 1,000 power for every card in your bind zone. And its second skill activates from the bind zone, generic 1. So last one, when this card, when the Chronofang Vanguard grade 4 attacks at the end of the battle, you may pay the cost. If you do, call this card to Vanguard. So he helps you for extra attacks for the cost of Soul Blast 1, and he can hit for pretty decent numbers because if you have a lot of cards in your bind zone, then you can just build up power like that, so he can probably attack your opponent's Vanguard by himself. So yeah, so we're running 3 of him. You know, if you use him as stride fodder for your Chronofang GB2, you pretty much get the stride for free that turn because well, you get the Soul Blast to call him back out, but he'll still be useless instead of being put in the drop zone and laying dead there. Next, running 2 Upstream Dragon. It's here for the toolbox. 2, I think 2 is enough. You don't really run that many because I want to run more of the new Chronofang cards. So 2 is enough. You can actually not run him at all if you want to run more of this and more of this, but Upstream is here for the extra consistency, because being able to search for whatever great one you want is pretty useful. So next we're running 2 Emin Barla. And Emin Barla is a new common from G-CB-04. And her skill is activates from Bind Zone, generic 1. Cost 1. If you have a Vanguard with Chronofang in its card name, you can call this card to Vanguard Soul, and then you can choose one of your opponent's Vanguards. If you do, your opponent returns that card to the deck, and then searches his deck for a card that is a grade less than the card that you picked, and it calls it to the Vanguard Circle. So, if you target a grade 0, you get this card for a CB1. If you don't, you get their toolbox for a unit. But a lot of times you're gonna get rid of their annoying grade 1s, so then they're gonna have to be forced to call a trigger or something. They might be able to call one of those draw soul charge draw triggers, but then it's fine because you sort of messed up their field. And you do get, you know, if you use this as stride fodder, then you can get her back for kind of last 1, which is kind of nice. Running the parallel Dragon from G-CB-07. Skill is activates on Bind Zone again. Generic 1. Choose your rear guards and rest it. You can choose target one of the units in a rear guard circle with no unit in it, and then call this card, and then this card gets plus 4,000 power, so it becomes an 11k booster. I want to run more of this, but 1 is okay for me so far, because a lot of times you might call him out, and then bind him again for your strides effects, like Bind Time or Chronofang Rebellion. These 2 are very good candidates for the target, and he is free, but then you have the rest unit. So a lot of times you're going to target Wataru to bind, or other units that you're probably not going to need, like this also, because you're probably going to bind that card, or you're going to rest that card and time leap it So, yeah. Next, we're running 2 Haru. So, she got reprinted in the G-CB-04. Skill is, when this card's placed from the rear guard circle to the bind zone, you can choose one of your opponent's grade 1s or lower rear guards, and then put that card to the bottom of their deck. So it's a rewind, and she does work with a lot of other cards in this deck, like her, and your Strides, and of course she works with Time Leap too. So very nice. Of course, if you do bind her with your Stride skills and stuff, you won't be able to get her back as easily as these guys, but being able to remove your opponent's units is also very good, so I like it. Next, we're running 2 Mellum. Mellum, she's Mellum, she's a good card. Helps you toolbox for grade 0s, and helps you chain attack. There is no Mechanica Phoenix in this deck, but she still is pretty useful. So Mellum is a good card in this deck. Next, we are running 3 Stride Fodders, mainly just to help you start up your Strides, because this deck, you have the very strong grade 2 GB2 Stride Fodder engine with Chronofang, but if you don't get your first Stride, you probably won't be able to get this off, so it's nice to have these Stride Fodders to increase consistency for your first Stride. I know some people don't like to run it, but I think it's a good idea to run more of these. So, yep. For the Sentinels, we're running 3 Perfect Guards and 1 Quintet Wall. Running these old Perfect Guards just so it works better with the Quintet Wall. Quintet Wall mainly because it's kind of a nice skill to use with the rest of the deck. So I like running 1 Quintet Wall. Don't like running multiple though. Trail lineup, running 8 crit, 4 stand. The stands are actually very good in this deck because if you use him to pay for the cost of your Strides and whatnot, and Time Leap, you can get a lot of benefits out of it. It's running 4. And since you do sometimes attack with another column first before doing other stuff, these stands will help you sometimes. So instead of running 2 like my Chrono Dragon build, I'm running 4 in my Chronofang build. And running 4 heals. Also, since this deck does generate a lot of crits by itself, I don't think running 12 crit is necessary. You might want to run draws instead, but like 2 draws or something, but I think running 4 stands is a little better. I don't know, just my personal opinion. Let's get to the G zone. Sorry if I sound sick today. I'm still sick, so I'll probably get better soon, but I don't know yet. All right, so for the Strides, we're running 4 Chronofang Rebellion. Skill is, it has 2 skills actually. On the Vanguard circle, for every 2 face-up cards, for every 2 cards in your bind zone, this card gets plus 5,000 power. And there's a GB2 skill, which is so last one. If G flip 1 Chronofang Rebellion and choose a card in your hand and field and bind it, and then when this card attacks, you may choose a Chrono. If you have a Chronofang heart, you may pay the cost. If you do, this card gets plus extra critical and 1 drive. So the cost is actually 1 card for you still last, and then you have the card bind the card from your hand and field, which is kind of costly if you, because this deck doesn't generate a lot of advantage, but it's fine. You get an extra drive check, so if your opponent doesn't guard, you just need extra crit to double crit them, or if they have at 3, you just need drive check 2 crits and then you win. And yeah, but a lot of times binding from your field isn't that bad because you're going to be binding from your field with bind time anyway, but sometimes you don't have anything good to bind from your hand, and that's fine. You might need to keep one of these in your hand, or this is probably the ideal card you want to bind, because then after you bind this with this, you can still call this card back out and attack with it. So yeah. And then next, running 4 bind time also generates your crit, and it also helps you rewind your opponent's field. So a lot of times you're going to use this card first. Later on, when you have more cards in your hand, you might use Chronofang, but bind time is also a very nice card, especially if your opponent has a very big field and you have a lot of cards in your bind zone. Next, running Warp Drive. Running 2, just to help you get that GB2 started. If you G-guard it, you might want to use something else like this. I forgot his name. Something Erugos, I think his name is in English. So, the cost is to choose bind the top card of your deck, and then when this card attack hits, when this card attack hits a Vanguard, you may pay the cost. If you choose a card in your bind zone and add it to your hand, and then choose a card from your hand and put it in your bind zone. So it helps you start up your bind zone, which is pretty nice. And if you bind a card that's pretty nice from your bind zone, then you can just bind the top card from your deck that's pretty useful. Then you can just put it in your hand and then put something not as useful back into the bind zone. So he's nice. Running 1 Fiery Marsh Colossus. He can also be used as a finisher if opponents at 5 and they have grade 1 in the field, so that you can rewind their grade 1, and then your opponent can use grade 1s to guard. Sure, they can use G-guards, but I don't know, it's still a nice option to have. I like running this card. I would have run this card in my Chrono Dragon deck too, but I didn't have space for it, so running it in this deck. And then for the G-guards, running 2 Grafana. Help your 2 box for those Watarus or TikToks. And running 2 Urudu. I'm not running the Chimera. I think it's the Chimera, because it's not. I don't really think it's that useful, but if you think it's useful, you might want to take out one Rafana for it. But I think Rafana is more useful, because it serves as a bigger guard, and you get a 2 box for cards like this, so it's nice. Anyway, that's pretty much. Oh god, this pretty much it for this deck profile. Thanks for watching, guys. Sorry this deck profile took so long. I've really struggled to come up with a good deck list for this deck, and this deck isn't perfect, but I think it's more consistent than my previous builds. And yeah, well, previous builds for this deck, which you have not seen before, but yeah. Thanks for watching, guys. This is Cardfight, and I'll see you guys later. Bye!